Hey, good morning to you guys. Welcome back to my channel, and also welcome back to the class. Thank you, sir. Thank you, classmates, for having me here again. I'm here in front of you guys, and I'm here to talk about my report. So the reason why I created this video is this is actually for the report of the class EDP 213, and I am assigned to the topic, which is the reports on commission studies, surveys on Philippine education. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do here, and I want to tell you guys what's the reason why I decided to create a video instead of reporting to you guys face to face. And yeah, the entire reason is I just want to be creative, you know. I just want to do something different because, and also the last time I was given a report, that was last trimester. I consumed the entire 3 hours, and my classmates were really having fun at that time. And also, before I'm gonna continue with my report, I just want to tell you guys that the reference that I use for this topic varies, and majority of them are online resources. The reason is I tried to look for some books to look for some valid materials. However, I could not find a lot. There were only few, and if there were any, it's like just one sentence for each survey, and I don't want to give that out. And if I'm gonna do that, I would end up as if I have no idea for the topic at all. Again, I'm not 100% sure that all of these materials are 100% accurate, but so yeah, just please bear with me and please keep that in mind, okay? So yeah, what are we waiting for? Let's go. So we are going to start with the first assessment in the Philippine education, which was conducted in 1925 and it was called the Monroe Survey. The first assessment in the Philippines was conducted in 1925 as a mandate from the government to look at the status of the education in the country. The first educational assessment was conducted by Paul Monroe, who was the director of the International Institute of Teachers College at Columbia University. This was authorized by the Philippine legislature, which later gave birth to the Board of Educational Survey, and this board is composed of 23 education professionals, majority of whom are from the US and few also are from the Philippines. Now, the Board of Educational Survey was headed by Paul Monroe, and they visited different schools from the Philippines and observed different activities in schools around the Philippines. The result of the survey revealed the following. Okay, first, the public school system is highly centralized in administration and needs to be humanized and made less mechanical. Second, the secondary education did not prepare for life and recommended training for agriculture, commerce, and industry. Third, almost all teachers, like 95% of them, were not professional trained for teaching. The report also informed that the teacher training was inadequate. Fourth, English as medium of instruction was best. The use of local dialect in teaching character education was suggested, though. The Commission declared that although Filipino students were on the same level as their American counterparts in subjects like math or science, they lagged far behind in English language-related subjects. Also, textbooks and materials need to be adopted in the Philippine life. Accounts describe the Filipino children of the 1920s are handicapped because not only were they trying to learn new concepts in foreign language, but they were also forced to do so from the point of view of different culture, and due to the fact that they were using materials originally designed for pupils in the United States. Now, private schools, except under the religious groups, were found to be unsatisfactory. 11 years later, another educational survey occurred, which was called the Commonwealth Survey. Now, the goal for this is to eliminate illiteracy and give vocational and citizenship training. Now, here are some recommendations found in the Commonwealth Survey in the Philippine education. Let's go! Okay, first, adult education. Now, the adult education was given an emphasis in 1938. With this program, there were 6,000 schools for adults, with more than 500,000 people enrolled by the end of 1940. Second, now agricultural education. By the end of 1935, there were 4 million hectares of land cultivated, and this figure increased up to 6 million hectares in the end of 1939. Now, this growth was made possible through infrastructure development like irrigation system. Third, character and citizenship training. The Boy Scout of the Philippines was started in 1936 with a mission to imbue in the youth the love of God, country, and fellow men, to train young people to become responsible leaders and to contribute in nation building. And in 1940, they started the Girl Scout of the Philippines as well. Now, also, because of this survey, they started teaching good manners and discipline. Fourth, vocational education. Vocational education was given emphasis under the Commonwealth in 1938. The National Assembly passed a law providing for the establishment of national vocational school in various parts of the country. Vocational education and some household activities like sewing, cooking, and farming were also given importance. Examples of the vocational schools are as follows. First, the Philippine Nautical School. Second, the Philippine School of Arts and Trades. And lastly, the Central Luzon Agricultural School. Fifth, women's education. Now, this gave way to the establishment of Philippine Women's University. One good influence of the America was the freedom to acquire the opportunities of higher education and to practice any profession which had formerly been reserved only for men. Sixth, language problem and curriculum. They included religion in school curriculum by this time of the year. Now, normal vocational, agriculture, and business schools were also open. Schools were also built in non-Catholic areas like Sulu in Mindanao and in Mountain Province. On November 12, 1937, the First National Assembly in the Philippines approved the law creating a National Language Institute to make a study and survey of each existing native language, hoping to choose which was to be the base of standardized national language. Now, 7. Non-Christian Filipino. With the establishment of the Philippine Commonwealth in 1935, the government policy toward Philippine Muslims shifted significantly. This change in attitude was accompanied by a new policy priority, the economic development of Mindanao for the benefit of the nation, especially by the means of Christian migration into traditionally Muslim region. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be talking about is the UNESCO Survey of 1949. The UNESCO undertook a survey on Philippine education from March 30 to April 16 of 1948. This is headed by Mary Trevelyan. Now, the objective of the survey was to look at the educational situation of the Philippines to guide planners of succeeding educational missions to the Philippines. The report of the survey was gathered from a conference with educators and laymen from private and public school all over the country. And the following results were found. Now, there is a language problem in the Philippines, and there is a need for more effective elementary education. And they also suggested that they want to lengthen the elementary secondary education program from 10 to 12 years. And there is also a need to give more attention to adult education and create a greater emphasis on community school. They also want to conduct a thorough surveys to serve as basis for long-range planning. And further strengthening of the teacher education program was highly recommended. Teachers' income have not kept the pace with national income or cost of living. Now, delegation of the administration authority to provinces and chartered cities, decrease of national expenditures on education, and they want to advocate more financial support to schools from various sources. Swanson Survey of 1960. In 1960, the National Economic Council and the International Cooperation Administration surveyed public schools. The survey was headed by Vitaliano Bernardino and Pedro Guiang. Together with them is J. Chester Swanson. The 3 recommendations were provided to public schools. First, to improve the quality of educational services. Second, to expand the educational services. And last but not least, to provide better financing for the schools. Next one is the Presidential Commission to Survey Philippine Education, or the PCSPE. In the 1970s, the study recommended extending the secondary education by 1 year to better prepare students who have no plans to take up university education. Next, in 2012, the UNICEF evaluated the 2 alternative delivery modes in the Philippines, namely a modified in-school, off-school approach, or known as MISOSA, and the enhanced instructional management by parents, community, and teachers, or the E-Impact. To enlighten you guys, MISOSA has the aim to address the congestion problems in those students who are seasonally absent due to making their living by dividing the class into two groups, one staying in the classroom and the other staying in their alternative venue. And once a week, the teacher is going to meet the students, both in school and off school, to assess their learning. E-Impact, on the other hand, aims to address issues of both access and quality through modular instructional materials, or MIMS. This system allows the child to go through each module individually or with peer group. Their progress is monitored through a number of modules completed and mastered as indicated by scores in module post-test by the child. Mixed research methodologies and data gathering techniques were used to determine the changes per variable or group of indicators. The evaluation extensively used key informant interviews, individual surveys, focus group discussions, documents, literature, and records review, and ocular observations to gather data and information relative to ADMs. The piloting ADMs, as supported by UNICEF, made notable contributions to improving educational outcomes, especially in terms of raising the mastery level and achievement test scores of children. Improvements in this area were robust. However, in terms of reducing the dropout and repetition rates, the improvements were not as significant. Nonetheless, the ADMs enriched the efforts of BESRA in introducing innovations meant to make the teaching-learning environment more varied and stimulating, provide opportunities for children's active participation, and enhance the engagement of parents and communities in education initiatives. The innovative strategies indeed prove significant in the context of current Philippine education and priorities of other development and donor agencies working for the country. Next one. In 1975, the EDPITAF launched Project SOUTELE, which aims to provide information which would be useful in policy formulation, educational planning, restructuring the curriculum, and redirecting methodology. This survey found that on average, the nation's 6th grade students achieved less than 50% mastery on all subjects except Filipino, with the lowest scores in mathematics and English. Moreover, the 6th graders did not achieve levels significantly higher than the 5th grade sample. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be talking about is the PRODED, or also known as Program for Decentralized Education. Now, it was done in 1983 to 1984. The DECEs launched the Program for Decentralized Education for elementary education to modify the curriculum and to put emphasis on science, technology, math, reading, and writing. As a follow-up to this, the new secondary education curriculum, or NSEC, was implemented in 1989 to replace the 1973 revised secondary education program. NSEC is a major part of the secondary education development program to bring PRODED into high school system to improve quality of graduates and to expand access to quality education. NSEC brings forth a student-centered, community-oriented style of education where values education is incorporated into teaching of other subject areas. The 8 subject areas are English, Filipino, mathematics, social studies, science and technology, physical education, health and music, technology and home economics, and values education. 4 years of secondary education is required by most of the higher institutions. Philippine secondary education is composed of academic and vocational curricula. A curriculum for secondary schools introduced in 1989 made Filipino the language of instruction for all subjects except mathematics and sciences. The mathematics curriculum was also changed by the 1993 NSEC. The 1973 Revised Education Program, or RSEP, required that areas of mathematics be taught in year-long discipline-based subjects: arithmetic in first year, elementary algebra in the second year, geometry in third year, and advanced algebra in the fourth year. A new secondary education curriculum mandates that for each year level, portions of algebra, geometry and measurement, trigonometry, statistics, and consumer mathematics would be included. The level of difficulty increases for each year level. This process allots math subjects with 200 minutes per week, or 40 minutes daily. Education for All Philippine Plan of Action from 1991 to 1999, or known as EFA1 or EFA1. In 1990, there was a World Declaration on Education for All, or EFA, in Thailand, which prescribe that basic learning needs shall be met for all by various means. As a response, the Philippines crafted and implemented a 10-year EFA Philippine Plan of Action covering 1991 to year 2000. The EFA plan articulated the country's national goals, objectives, policies, and strategies, as well as the regional programs for implementation for the first decade of the EFA movement. Under the 1991-2000 plan, EFA 1, the thrusts included: first, the early childhood development. So, there was a need for expansion of self-sustaining community-based ECCD and the use of innovative approaches to parent education. There is also a need for promotion of preparatory education, accreditation of private preschool programs and institutions, differentiated approaches for special categories of children, strengthening of health, nutrition, and other allied services, socio-cultural adaptation of curriculum, materials and approaches, single agency to coordinate programs for ECCD. Universalization of quality primary education. Enhancing the holding power of student retention of schools, using alternative teaching learning delivery modes, strengthening homeschool partnership, emphasis on higher level thinking skills, upgrading teacher competencies. Next, alternative learning systems. Eradication of illiteracy in selected areas, promotion of continuing education and development, implementation of integrated programs.